Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome to New Life Live. Actually, Chris Williams in studio for Steve Arterburn. Really excited today because I'm in studio with two incredible professionals that help a lot of people, with Dr. Alice Benton.
Hello.
And Milan Yerkovich.
Hey, great to be with you, Chris. I'm excited.
Good to be with you guys.
What a fun morning to be with you. And I know we all have a great heart to help people, so we look forward to great calls.
You know, one of the ways in which we really live out Jesus' help here on planet Earth is love, right? I mean, how we love. But love is like tough. And we think of tough love as like someone giving us a hard truth that we need to hear, or setting a firm boundary around some negative or damaging behavior. But sometimes love is tough because it requires loving tough people or tough situations.
Mm-hmm. Listening to them even sometimes is part of love. I will listen to you, and I will love you by listening.
Absolutely.
I had a holy sandpaper experience this week where God was nudging me to love a tough coworker who's not easy to be with. I could not do it on my own. I couldn't dredge up the love I wanted to have for this person. So I called my kids, asked them to pray for me. I called my prayer support team. And then I was singing hymns of gratitude beforehand. And when I got to where I needed to be with my coworker, I was able to listen, but it was not by my own ability. It was only with that team support around me.
Yeah.
But God came through. He shone through.
That's exactly how you have to go about it. Now, I love this phrase, holy sandpaper.
That's really good.
I've never heard that before. And I'm going to copyright means...
It's not original. It's not mine. No.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know who to give credit for, but it's a good phrase.
It's really good.
It is a great phrase.
That is how God helps us grow. He smooths out our rough edges with holy sandpaper.
And I think you both had mentioned that one of the ways in which we primarily show our love to people, it sounds simple, but it is really, really difficult, and that is listening. Mm-hmm. You know? So, Milan, how do we improve our ability to listen and hear other people?
Well, it's like Alice said a moment ago. We have to realize this is something that is God's will. Ultimately, she said, I have to love this person. I know it's God's will for my life to do that. Lord, help me do that. So it is, first, I have to understand that it's a mandate. It's actually a command that we're to listen to one another. Be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. We do those backwards. I think we can all acknowledge.
Yeah.
Then I have to learn what to do. In our society, nobody teaches anybody how to listen. It is not... unless you're a trained professional who's in a listening role, i.e. perhaps a therapist or a psychologist or someone who's in the helping professions, most people generally, and it's really sad, they don't know what they're feeling inside. They have no idea what their self-awareness doesn't, they have no ability to describe their inner self, the emotions that go with that. And we have to draw that out. So it's a skill. And so it's a learned art, and we have to find ourselves being trained somehow, some way to do that.
Well, and I also love what, Alice, you were doing, is that you were really calling on the Lord's help. Mm-hmm. You know, you were getting your spiritual resources in play, and the way that they showed up there was really incredible. So loving well. And if you are struggling out there, if you're struggling to love another person or be loved, give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We're going to be in the studio for a couple hours today. So, let us help you out. Also, on Wednesday, we have a special program on life recovery. So we're going to be in the studio for a couple hours talking about all of the different aspects of recovery. And so give us a call if you're in recovery or wanting to know more about it. And we will love to talk with you. Again, 1-800-229-3000. And we'll come back and get to the calls.
God pulled me out of the gutter of my life that I was living in.
I have done a lot of work over the last 40 years,
This is the first time I've ever felt love.
I've had such a wonderful weekend here, and for the first time in a long time, I've felt at home.
And the Lord has set me free from my mother's story about me not being good enough.
The New Life Finding Freedom Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, September 20th to the 22nd.
We're going to talk about forgiveness and codependency. We're going to understand that family of origin, the unhealthy reactions to it. We're going to talk about the cycle of shame and surrender and developing the plan that moves us forward. There'll be 8 teaching sessions and 6 small group sessions.
To register or to learn more about the Finding Freedom Workshop, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I am living a new life, and I believe that I have the resources and tools to continue that.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Chris Williams in studio for Steve Arterburn, and we're going to go right to the phones. We're going to talk to Rhonda in Greenville, Illinois, who listens on NRB. Rhonda, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Rhonda, how's it going today?
It's better since I've got to watch your program and got blessed on getting on the air for counseling.
No, good. Good. How can we help you today?
Well, there's so much wanting to come out, but my main thing is I hardly go out of my apartment. I'm scared. I've been fighting addiction ever since I can remember. My mother and father both, even though they wasn't together, I didn't know my father too much, but my mother, we lost so much due to her drinking and that, and unfortunately mine went deeper in these days. Cocaine, my sister used, and I don't think she did it purposely. It took me a while for God to let me know that, but she had a problem of her own. But, I was given speeders when I was young to learn that's how we can get energy to clean. So it went into cocaine and meth. And unfortunately, my children grew up around this. And I have even used with my oldest boy, and he's been in and out of prison. It's just, they tell me I got post-stress disorder really bad.
Yeah.
And I've been clean now a little over a year and a half.
Oh, great job.
God put me here in Greenville about 3 years ago. I ended up in a hospital, and they almost had to put me in a coma. And when I woke, there was a gentleman, one of the or nurses there, I guess, was praying at the end of my bed. And I seen this gold light, just bright light. I couldn't even look at it. And I knew that God, if it wasn't for Him and His grace, that I would went on, and I don't think I would have been in a very good place then at all, but He brought me up here, and I had a couple slips, of course, and that's why I'm so scared, I do believe, because I'm scared before I know it all.
Rhonda, can I ask, let me jump in and ask you a question. What have you been doing to remain clean?
Just in my Bible, praying, just not enjoying life. That's
Well, you got clean, but all of the things that were underneath are really still, or actually can show up, and the anxiety, the fear, the pain. And so, what's your question for us? How can we help you?
I guess. How do I come over? I know it's not of God.
Yeah.
It can't be. He does. I feel like I'm in prison still without the drugs.
Absolutely.
Like a dry addict. Or,
you said,
know what I mean?
Yeah, you said it really, really well, because there is a profound difference between sobriety and recovery. Sobriety just means that I have stopped the addictive substance or drink or behavior. But, unfortunately, we use for a reason. We go to these addictive devices for a purpose. And once those are removed, we find that all of the things underneath the surface that the addiction was masking really come up. And that is recovery. Recovery is recovering from the pain, the hurts, or the struggles that drive the addiction.
Right.
Yeah.
And the only thing, I know God forgives me for all, or
Absolutely.
I would, He wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't forgive myself about what I put my children through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think, am I going to take this to my grave? I know God's forgiven me.
Yeah.
But how do I forgive myself?
That's a great question. Milan, what do you think?
Well, Rhonda, thank you for calling. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you for calling. What a great call. I love your honesty. I love just how clear you are with your struggle, and that you would bless us by calling us. I just think is wonderful, and thank you for that. I hear your pain. Recovery includes community, and that will also include your children. Being able to have honest conversations, talking about the historical influences that led me into the painful place, the familial or family influences that put me into a position where A, I was agitated on the inside or pressured, B, the quote-unquote pill that would help me feel better and get through it. To just talk with your kids about that eventually, but you can't talk to your kids until you've talked with a group of people that are helping you to work your way out of that. We need community to do that, and that's part of recovery. The other thing that if you didn't learn, if you started early and your sister introduced, what I'm going to call these things to help you cope, what you didn't learn is you didn't learn, as we all have to learn, how to manage the stress of life, how to cope with life and develop, if you will, stress responses that are healthy, and the ability to cope with the pressures and the pains of life. And so you're a bit behind on the curve with that. And so the idea of just even going out of the house is fearful, because A, you're worried that you're just worried that I'll actually encounter somebody that might want to lead me astray, or B, I won't know what to say to somebody. And that's what a group of recovery is all about, providing safety, learning that people are good people, healthy people, want to help us grow. And so it's a process. It's going to take some time.
I've ran into people, though, sir, that they seem good and they say they want to do good, but unfortunately they haven't,
Rhonda,
So
Rhonda, it is true that you have to be so cautious with whom you engage in the recovery world, because you're right. Some people will be dangerous and toxic to our recovery, even though they look good and sound good on the surface. But we do have to pick and choose. The worst thing we can do, though, is to withdraw entirely from people, because people are the channel that God uses to bring us forgiveness.
Right, and I have, ma'am, and that's where I'm at today. How do I take that first step of getting back out? Because I just love to help people, and I love to make people laugh.
Rhonda, you already have taken the first step because you're talking with us. So the first step is already behind you. It truly is. The second step is letting us link you up. Before you even hang up the call, we can link you up with a counselor. We have a whole network of Christian counselors that are experts in what you're dealing with. And then we can, of course, then there are recovery groups all over the place. So even just looking up on the internet after you've hung up with us, you can find groups that are right there in your area today. So use this momentum to step into a counseling situation and to step into a group. And God will help turn your guilt and worldly sorrow into a godly sorrow through that repentance. He's got a mission for you. He can use your worst mistakes to His glory and to stop the cycle of addiction within your family. You're starting the family on a new path by what you've done.
I'm grateful. I know this has been a blessing. The lady that answered said, because I just started watching the show on TV today. God blessed me with it, and I got in so quick, and I know this is a blessing, and I do my best I want to trust again. I want to trust to go out.
Well, and Rhonda, as there's only one way to learn how to trust, as both Milan and Alice has pointed out, is to get into relationship. Trust is a relational attribute. And so what I want to do is give you a 3-step plan, okay?
Okay.
I want because you asked the right question. So the first step is we've already talked about it here. I want you first to find a recovery group.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm writing it down.
Okay, a 12-step recovery group in your area.
Okay.
And submit yourself to that process, meaning that, like, don't go once and then be like, the people were weird and I didn't like it or get anything out of it. I tell people I work with, you can't have a judgment, you can't have an opinion until you've been to 6 recovery meetings. Okay. The second thing I want you to do is there's a lot of healing in your life that needs to happen. So as Alice mentioned, we're going to have you stay on the line. We're going to connect you with one of our therapists or a therapeutic resource in the area, because there's a lot of pain from your family that you're carrying around that needs healing.
Okay.
And then the third thing, and this is a little bit more tricky and difficult, but you had already said you like to go out and help people, and you're a funny person. What I want yeah, absolutely. What I want you to be able to do is receive love from people. Okay?
Yeah, that's spot on.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. So that is what's been missing in your life. That's what a lot of the addiction has been replacing. Is the love, it's your way of feeling loved without actually getting love.
Yes. I didn't know love until I started learning of Jesus' love for us.
Absolutely. And that's
I definitely didn't know the real love, and I sure didn't show it to my children because I didn't know it.
I know, but that's the thing. Once you learn how to receive it, then you'll also learn how to give it in better ways. We're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible. And that will really help along your recovery journal, because all of the 12-step principles are laid out beautifully in that. So stay on the line. We're going to get you connected with one of our counselors, and we're going to send you Life Recovery. But get into that recovery plan and watch and see what happens.
I have another recommendation.
Yes, go for it.
Just because Rhonda is our first call and she was such a great caller.
Yes.
Let's also send her Take Your Life Back.
Yes. Yeah.
As a book to read, because that really helps outline everything you just said.
That's good. Thank you, Milan. Yeah. So 2 books, 2 resources coming your way, Rhonda. Thank you so much for calling in. Let's go to Patricia in Woodbridge, Virginia, with listening on WAVA. Patricia, you there?
I am. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem.
I had to call Alice when you started the program with asking people to pray for a difficult person in your life. I'm going through, I guess, a lot of pain with my only daughter, and we're pretty estranged. She seems to be taking all of her anger and stuff out on me, and she wants nothing more to do with me. She is on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, so that's pretty easy, but she doesn't like me very much at all. She asked me to, she's got a master's degree, I said, but she hasn't made a plug nickel on the education yet, and she's decided to become an event planner, which I said, that's wonderful, honey, but to start your own business, you really do need capital. Well, that was a slight to her in her mind. She said, you don't have any faith in me at all. You don't think I can do it. You're always telling me what's wrong. And so then she wants to go to a workshop for people becoming event planners, and particularly cannabis planners. It's totally legal where she lives, and it's $1,200. And I said, no. And she said, I've always been really cheap with her in her life. That's not true. And, I just can do no right. And I'm tired of bending over backwards to try and please her. If she were here on the line, she'd say, oh, that's not true. You don't.
Patricia, and what's the question for us? How can we help you?
what can I do? What pragmatically can I do to make things better? I have been every day praying for her, and I find that an amazing release. I've done it for coworkers and people that have annoyed the heck out of me, and it works. Praying for them works fantastically. And I'm hoping it's working for my daughter.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can help you. We are coming up against a break here, but Alice, to get us started here, what do you think?
I'm going to lovingly give you something tough to think about over the break, Patricia, and I'm so proud of you for calling. I hear negative comments that you're making about your daughter. Almost every fact you've given us, you've followed up with something negative. And it's true, the negative is true. But if this is a small example of conversations with her, that gets heavy pretty quickly. So I want you to just prayerfully consider that. I could be right, I could be wrong. And when we come back from the break, we're going to give you some steps and strategies that can help you with this. There is solution here. There's great hope, Patricia.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we will be right back again. If you want to give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be right back.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change, and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down something to another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption. But you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Chris Williams in for Steve Arterburn today. We're talking with Patricia, and Alice, you had some good things to share with her.
Patricia, I heard your willingness to hear me, which is an uncommon ability, especially when you get some difficult feedback. How has it sat with you? What are you thinking and feeling about what I shared?
There's truth in it, definitely.
Oh, your willingness.
In what you said, I recognize that.
Okay, your willingness.
I'm kind of on the defensive when I talk to her.
Mm-hmm. Who wouldn't be? Of course. But your willingness to say what you just said could be a breakthrough with your daughter. If you could go to her after this call to say, I actually made a call to the radio show for this particular reason, and this is what they gave me, and I realize they're right. And I've probably done this to you many times in your life. How have my words affected you? I know, Patricia, that your intent has been to motivate her to raise a strong, independent, good woman. I know that's been your intent, that's been your heart. But if you will bring this humility to her, it could open up a door. Now, it doesn't always work the first time, so I also want you to brace yourself. But if you will continue to humbly approach your daughter, asking her for feedback about you, I I can almost guarantee you that God's grace will soften her heart.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I also recommend,
God bless you guys.
Patricia, I have one other recommendation, that you look at the larger pattern of your life. Because you mentioned there are other people that I have reactivity to internally, and I have to pray about it. We all do, but it would be a great idea for you to stop and think, is this bigger than just my daughter?
Mm. Yeah, sometimes it is. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think that's constant or anything, but yeah, that's absolutely been true.
Well, and then we have to ask the second question, if it is, and thank you for your honesty. And you're right, Patricia. It's not in every occasion or occurrence. We have to ask, okay, so what from my past or history contributed to this feeling that I have around other people, this defensiveness? What have other people done to me, or what environment was I raised in that may have contributed to this particular way of reacting or having feelings in relationships? And that's an important next step for you as well.
Well, that would be my mother being negative with me.
Well, there you go. Yeah. And so there's a healing journey then of you with that past history. A lot of times we think we don't have to do any work with our past history, but we need to articulate the impact of it and learn to free ourselves from it and grieve its loss and learn to resolve the past by facing it and not pretending it's not there or avoiding it.
Patricia, the way you've been responding back to us, there's a softness in your voice, and it is so attractive that will draw people to you rather than the negativity pushing them away. I just pray an anointing over you and your relationship with your daughter, and that her ears would be open to hearing such a softness from you.
Really great job, Patricia.
God bless you guys.
You're super.
You guys are awesome.
We love that you called. It's just an open heart we hear.
Yes, and Patricia, what we're going to do is we're going to send you actually a copy of People Fuel by John Townsend. And the reason is that this provides a great mirror for you to see how healthy relationships work and how unhealthy relationships and communication works. And so I just kind of want you to go through that. But again, and the last thing I'll mention is what they've talked about is pain is what usually drives fear. Mm-hmm. And so as Milan was talking about, like, what is the pain from your past that is driving the fear, and maybe the fear you're putting on your daughter, and that's where we go negative. And so asking yourself, hey, what am I afraid of here, and where do I need to apply faith? Maybe faith towards God, faith towards my daughter, and rebuild that trust with her. But you're on the right track, and thank you so much for calling in. And again, People Fuel will be coming your way. Thank you, Patricia.
Can I make a quick comment?
Absolutely.
I think that, we talk about adolescence as being a very difficult phase of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of us struggled when we went through it. But the other difficult transition is transitioning from adolescence into adulthood. Most people flounder right here. Who am I? What am I? What should I be? What should I study? That's why 90% of all people change their majors in college, and then 80% of all people work outside their major once they're into adulthood.
Yes,
so
yeah.
It's a confusing time. And when she said, well, her daughter had a master's degree and hadn't made a plug nickel from it, it's just important to realize all adolescent young adults flounder at some level. It is hard to get into this place called adulthood.
And wouldn't you say floundering is part of the process?
I think it absolutely is.
We have to struggle, sort of like that hatched turtle trying to make itself to the ocean that's going to struggle all the way there, that's building resiliency.
That is a great analogy right there. You're absolutely right. And I think for us to embrace and accept that, instead of thinking, well, they're an adult now, they should act like one. They've revised adolescence up to like 26 years old.
Yeah.
In the helping psychological professions, the brain just doesn't mature fully for a while. It takes a while.
Absolutely. Well, again, if we can help you, 1-800-229-3000. And that is what we're here for. Hope and guidance and help in the struggle. Whatever you're struggling with, give us a call. We can help you out. If you are struggling with being stuck in your life and you need a breakthrough, Finding Freedom September 20th in Dallas is the conference for you, is the experience for you. So again, we are going to go to break and we'll be right back with some more phone calls.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. This is Chris Williams. I'm in for Steve Arterburn today, but right now in the studio with us is Larry Sonnenberg. Larry, hey, give us an update.
Hey, a couple things. First, I want to talk a little bit about Every Man's Battle, because we had a workshop this weekend up in Sacramento. And as usual, there's guys going home whose lives will forever be different because they learned a lot of things about themselves and about the issues and how to go forward with it. So it's not a quick fix, I'm done, we're over, but they know what to do to make their life better. And it was interesting. We had two guys, and they were in the same group. And I just wanted to speak to the difference of who goes there and why they're there. One guy, he had accepted Christ 2 months earlier. And it was real interesting because we closed the workshop on Sunday, and one of the things is we do communion, and we do it by their small groups. And he got in the circle to have communion, and he said to his counselor, you got to help me with this. I've never had communion.
Oh. Wow.
So he had his first communion there.
Wow. That's incredible.
And it was a kind of a cool experience. And he just writes that he realizes the power of God in a whole new way. And as a man that has never had God in his life until recently, this process has confirmed that he is real and worth putting at the front of my life. I've given it all to him, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to live my life in his name. I'm excited to start leading my family in this direction. So that was one way. The other guy that came there, he'd been separated for 2 months. He was an older fellow, retired, semi-retired, and really his marriage was not in a good place. And he was full of anger, he says, and hatred. And so, but he says that now he has a hopeful and positive vision for the future and with his relationship with God and his wife. And he talks about the importance of doing this not alone and such. So I just want to encourage men who are listening. It doesn't matter what your situation is. It doesn't matter what you've done or haven't done. You can come, and it's a no-shame zone, and we can help you. So that's sorry to take a little while on that. The other thing I want to just mention again, it's kind of my bailiwick here, and that is, well, we need your support. And if you could be a part of the giving family for New Life, it's going to make a difference in people's lives. And that's the bottom line, is making the difference, just like this radio program does. And the workshops do it, going to a counselor does it, our resources does it. So if you can support that, that's what we need. And the way I want to ask you to do that is by joining Club New Life. $30 a month or more. I'm going to ask you to call our 800 number, 800 New Life. That's 639-5433. And tell them that you heard about this club, this automatic giving every month, $30 or more. They'll tell you the benefits. They'll tell you the wonderful thank you gift we have, which is a set of 8 books. And in the interest of time, because I don't want to take time from callers, I'm going to leave it at that. But thank you, everybody who is giving.
And Larry, thank you for keeping everything moving forward. And as you mentioned, Every Man's Battle, it is coming up September 13th in Houston, Texas. If you're a guy who is really struggling in this area of sexual integrity, and we know that it is something that every man will have to confront in their life, please, we can help you. This is an amazing experience. September 13th, Houston, Texas. And again, as Larry mentioned, if you also just need help, if you need to get connected with a counselor, we have a national network of therapists and counselors that we can connect you with, and you can just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Paul in North Platte, Nebraska, listening on KJLT. Paul, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you fine. Paul, what's going on, man?
Well, kind of a lot right now, and I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time, but I haven't been to counseling for a lot of years, since it was court ordered forever ago. And I called and registered today to go see a New Life counselor, and I'm just wondering, I'm not sure how long I'll be able to afford to go, and there's just so much going on, and I was wondering if you guys could help me kind of prioritize what to try and deal with first.
Yeah. Has there been a pattern in your life? Like, there's like, hey, if I can overcome this one thing that keeps showing up, what would that be?
Drug addiction, probably.
Okay. Yeah.
And my emotional mental health, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Paul, thank you so much for your call, because so much of addiction is driven by our emotional and mental unhealth or illnesses that we carry in our life. Have you engaged in any recovery program, 12-step support, anything like that?
Not for a long time.
Okay.
I had a cocaine addiction when I was 18 probably. Yeah. And I had to leave Florida where I grew up, but I got through that. And it's been 15 years probably.
Yeah.
And but there's been other things along the way, and marijuana and alcohol, I just have never.
Yeah. So let me just start there, and then I'm gonna turn it over to my co-host here. But in treating a lot of people that do struggle with addiction, no matter what kind of counseling I do, if the addiction is active, it constantly hijacks any counseling or therapeutic process. And so it's not that it's worthless, it's not worthless. We want to support people in their process, but getting into recovery outside of therapeutic help is really, really important. I look at it as 2 rails on a train track. One rail is the 12-step recovery. The other rail is therapeutic help that helps us get to mental health, more mental and emotional health, as well as healing out some of the pain that may be driving it. And if one of those rails isn't on the track, the train's going to derail. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And Alice, as far as him getting into counseling and kind of prioritizing what to work on, what do you think?
Well, Paul, I have a couple of suggestions, but I'll start with a question. Why were you court-ordered for therapy?
From the time I was probably 15, I was getting in trouble with the law for drugs and stuff. That was all a long time ago, but that's the last. I haven't been to counseling since the last time I was court-ordered to be.
Okay.
Which was 15 years ago.
And what would you say is one of the main relationships in your life that has been damaged by this and that you'd like to repair?
Oh, my wife.
Okay. Do you have children?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're just delighted that you would call. I think I can hear a little bit of the fear, the anxiety in your voice about doing this. And I think you are a brave man because you're willing to go back in for counseling. It takes great humility to do that. So I want you to draw God into this process, and you probably already are. I want to give you Psalm 139:23, where you invite God in. The Psalm says, "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me, know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any harmful way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." Because that prayer gives God permission to prioritize your counseling, and He will not steer you wrong. You can also go into the counselor to say, I don't know what to start with, and the counselor can help you figure that out. I like to pray at the beginning of my sessions with my therapy clients so that we ask God right then and there, what should we do today, God? Equip us for it and guide us to it. I want to loop back to what Chris was asking you about 12-step, and I want to bring into that small group, celebrate recovery, because all those options are free. So if money runs out, when it runs out for the counseling, and even before, you can get into that small group process without paying anything. And there is a power to groups that you can't even get in individual therapy. So those are great ways to go.
So Paul, I think what Alice just said is something I wanted to point out. There are free programs, and they will help you substantially, and always for the rest of your life, take advantage of them. You know, there's support groups that you can find at churches, community groups, etc. But the counselor is going to be your quarterback, Paul, and they're going to help you and guide you. And what you're talking about for the length of time you were discussing, it's going to take some time to work through all the issues we've talked about here today. So I would talk to your counselor about what kind of a way could you pay them and respect them. But secondly, if I were Paul, I would find another way to fund my counseling. I would sell something, I'd find a second job, I would do anything I could to create the income that would allow me to fund that. That's the highest priority you could ever have.
And Paul, we're coming to a break. We'll be right back after this.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Columbus, Ohio, October 25th to the 27th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Yerkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or go to newlife.com.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Last year after Every Man's Battle, I was so moved by the transformation that I saw not only in myself, but in the guys in our small group and the other people that were there and the stories that I heard, that I decided to go ahead and join Club New Life as a contributor to that.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
You guys are doing God's work here. You're restoring marriages. You're giving people hope. It's just been such a blessing to me, and I just wanted to encourage you all, when you see something good that God's doing, just jump on that and help support that.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Give your support to them if you can, and just help them do what God's doing here in the world.
Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. Chris Williams in studio for Steve Arterburn. Again, I have Dr. Alice Benton and Milan Yerkovich in studio with me. If you're online, we're going to go 2 hours in the studio, so stay on. But we've been talking with Paul, and Paul, I love that you're seeking out recovery. I love that you're seeking out counseling. One of the things that we're talking about on break is that we are constantly making investments in our life, whether we realize it or not, whether it be a Starbucks coffee, whether it be a new vehicle. And counseling, as Alice was pointing out, it is such an amazing investment, as you were saying at break, Alice, in our marriage. And so think about the different ways that you can pull resources together, and also increasing, just asking God, can you provide, can you show up? And allow this thing that I really need in my life to keep going. Paul, we're going to send you a copy of Healing is a Choice. And a lot of what is driving your addiction that I hear underneath it is a lot of pain. And being able to get into a healing process is really important. So we're going to send you, again, a copy of Healing is a Choice. And Paul, thank you so much for calling in. And we just do trust that God's going to guide you in his love and in his grace as you continue your healing and recovery journey. Let's go to Luke in Greensboro, North Carolina, listening on YouTube. So, Luke, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem, Luke. What's going on today?
Yeah, so I guess my loaded question is, how can I get real freedom from the source of like damage that's in me that has caused me to be just really abusive in my marriage and like just really damage my wife. And I guess the other part would be like, how can I like really get that change and like exhibit change and you know, get my wife back and have a chance to be like a good husband to her.
Oh my goodness, Luke, you're asking some phenomenal questions. Your insight is already there. So I just want to say that sometimes we need to redirect people in their questions. Your questions are spot on, which tells me that there is already an inherent wisdom inside of you. But I just want to ask a follow-up question. You said the damage that's inside of me or that's been done to me. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, so I guess kind of to try to summarize, if like now if I'm mistreated or like spoken to in an abusive way, in the past, like I took that passively, and then so now I kind of like have gone the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So in my marriage, like if that happened for my wife, and a lot of times for good reason, because I wasn't like doing a great role as a husband, and
yeah. So again, it was
really just lash out.
Yeah, before you would just kind of, if you felt like you were disrespected or felt like you were treated poorly, you would just kind of take that on, and then there was some point a flip that switched, or a switch that flipped, and you went on the aggressive side.
Right.
Yeah. Milan, what do you think here? Oh, go ahead, Luke.
Well, just yeah. So when I was younger, I thought I had to, you know, because you know a lot of it was in a religious setting, and so like, you know, fear of like, you know, like offending God by doing it, and then like so I got to where I couldn't take being treated like that anymore, and so then when people would do that, or including my wife in our marriage.
Yeah. Well, let me jump in just because
lash out and like hurt her verbally.
Yeah. Let me jump in because we want to make sure that we have the time to help you out. And so, yeah, Milan, what do you think?
Luke, thank you for your call. It is important that we stop and ask the question, who am I really angry at? Who really hurt me? Or who are the people that hurt me? And really, part of the healing process is to grieve and get angry and speak to the past. It's not as though I have to speak to the person directly, but we must address the past and the place where I was hurt, the people with whom I found myself being wounded over and over and over again. Because when people don't face the past, they take out all their built-up pain, they take it out on the people around them. It's just a combustive thing that happens. I have this big kettle of pain back here, and I haven't dealt with it, and if you agitate me, all of it comes out at you.
Yeah, I think of them as like landmines with tripwires.
Yeah, they are
once
landmines.
You go through my tripwire.
Exactly. So that's right. So who is the person in the past? I have people in my office actually turn around in their seats and point to somebody behind them in the past and say, who's back there? Or I will go around behind their seat and I will say, who am I in the past that hurt you?
Wow.
And that's where the focus needs to take place.
Yeah.
And on a daily basis, Luke, I want to invite you to meditate on Ephesians 4:26. Be angry and yet do not sin. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. We give the devil a foothold, an opportunity when we hold on to it. So every night I want you to go through forgiving, asking for forgiveness, and turning over the ways that you've been hurt to God. And he'll let the grace seep in, and it will flow into you and out of you into other relationships.
Luke, this is why us counselors exist. Exactly for what you're struggling with. This is what we're trained to do, is help you identify the hurts that you're carrying on inside to help heal that process and then develop the skills to connect and relate well. And you know, as Alice was saying, the Gospel of Luke to me makes it so crystal clear that the power of Jesus in the kingdom of God came with healing and forgiveness. That's how he restores us over and over to how he created us to be. That's how we find our kind of true selves. And so I want to encourage you, get into counseling. Start getting underneath the hood. As Milan said, start finding out who in your past has hurt you. You know, invite God deep into that process, and you're on the right path because you're asking the right questions, and we want to give you that direction. So again, stay on the line. We have a network of counselors across the country. We want to hook you up and connect you with that. And Luke, we're going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back. You're set up really well for that, because Take Your Life Back is about owning our own experiences and being able to enter into God's transformation through that. So Luke, again, thank you so much for calling today. And I just want to mention, we also have coming up 12 Steps to Happier Conference, October 5th in Irvine. This Wednesday, we're going to do 2 hours in the studio, me and Steve Arterburn and Becky Brown, and we're going to be focusing specifically on recovery questions and recovery concepts. We're all in recovering from something in our life, but man, with the epidemic of addictions and struggles and the traumas that we carry, this is what we really, really focus on, is recovering from, again, our pain and our addictive devices, our poor coping mechanisms, so we can show up in the world as God has intended us to show up. You can go on our website, www.newlife.com, and find out more about the conference, 12 Steps to Happier. Thank you so much for being with us today. And just a reminder, Jesus came in the fullness of grace and truth. I offer you, in the midst of the reality of your life, great grace today. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.